And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today. You can get ready to call with your car challenges at 888 Car Clinic. And speaking of challenges, transportation challenges are among the top issues for cities all across America. Alex Keros, Maven's Smart Cities Chief, is committed to help reimagine processes and policies needed to help future mobility solutions work in cities around the country. He works hand in hand with a variety of stakeholders, including utilities, regulators, and local officials. Last week, Alex participated in a civic event in Austin, Texas, to help educate mayors across the country on the benefits of car sharing and urban mobility services. Can't wait to hear more about this. So let's welcome Alex to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Alex, great to have you in the house.
No, thanks for having me, Bobby. Appreciate being here.
First, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers a little bit about Maven and the types of services offered, how that works.
Yeah, Maven is about a 3-year-old startup within General Motors. The way I like to describe it is think about sort of a mobility platform, different services and opportunities within the mobility spectrum to meet the needs of different customers. We have a traditional car sharing, a station-based car sharing. So if you live in a city like Austin, you need access to a vehicle. You don't want to own one because it's a hassle for you. You basically can go downstairs, find one of our stations, use our app, reserve the vehicle, and run around to Dallas or Houston or whatever you want to do for the weekend, or run around errands. There's a tangential program associated with that, which is Maven peer sharing. So what this does is actually all of that same thing happens, but it's not Maven's car. It's somebody who owns a car who puts it on the platform, because our cars sit about 90% idle most of the time. So it's a great way to sort of increase supply for people who want it, but it's also a nice way for owners to take advantage of a vehicle that otherwise might be sitting there. And then our third service, as we continue to grow out this program, is called Maven Gig. And in that case, we rent vehicles on essentially a short-term basis to folks who are participating in the gig economy. So you don't have a vehicle, or you don't want to use your own vehicle, you can rent one of ours to go drive for Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, whatever sort of commercial purposes. We sort of give you a job in the box, if you will, so you can go be a freelancer in that economy.
Well, that's really cool. Let's shift gears. Let's talk a little bit about your meeting at the South by Southwest conference in Austin last week. What are some of the key areas that you addressed with those local leaders there?
Well, first and foremost, it's a two-way dialogue, and I think that's what's most important, as you described in the intro around transportation challenges, right? It's not one stakeholder has all the keys to solve this problem, and in fact, the really most important thing is to ensure a really open and fruitful dialogue between many of the stakeholders you said, but mobility companies, mayors' offices, departments of transportation, utilities, and even NGOs and the residents who are using them. And so what's neat about South by is that two-way dialogue happens, and I have the chance, and our team has a chance, to listen to what matters the most to mayors, and how are they thinking about solving for mobility, right? And in many cases, they aren't solving for mobility, they're solving for access, right? They're solving for access for jobs, they're solving access for people to get from point A to point B, if you're in South by, to get to the next cool concert. And so we're in the middle of those conversations to understand, all right, how do we design services at Maven that really enables the goals of those cities? And so you could think of it as a challenge, or as I like to do it, is that's an opportunity, and how do we design around that to make sure we're sort of solving for multiple transportation challenges at the same time.
We're talking with Alex Keros, Smart Cities Chief for General Motors Maven. So, Alex, how does car sharing with a service like Maven differ from a traditional rental car?
In most cases, a traditional rental car isn't sort of neighborhood-based or sort of city central. In some cases, it is. In many cases, for the user experience, it's not a ton different. The easiest way for your listeners to think about car sharing in this is most of the time in like a service like Maven, we're bringing sort of a turnkey solution set. So most of the time when we rent cars, we check the box off around insurance because we don't need it. You think about somebody who doesn't own a car, you're delivering a service that has sort of a turnkey operation. So we also like to think in Maven's case, we bring a lot of technology to play. So for example, there's no keys involved in our transaction. In fact, you don't even need to talk to anybody. You basically walk up, you unlock, you reserve the car with your phone, you unlock it with your phone, and actually your phone becomes your key fob. So as you sit in the car, you turn it on and run around as you would. So I think there's an elevated technology experience, an elevated sort of it's in your neighborhood experience. But when it comes down to it's renting a car. It's getting access to mobility, and just how that experience differs from city to city.
So what I would like to know now, when you talk with the mayors of the city, do they get it? When they participated, you said it was a two-way conversation, obviously. Do they have an idea of how this can solve transportation issues there within cities like the big city, like Manhattan, or like in Austin or other California, large cities across the nation?
They do get it. And what the good and most fruitful part of the conversation is, different cities have different personalities, right? I'm a Detroiter, right? So car-centric city like in LA, which is another car-centric city. There's cities like Seattle that aren't car-centric. And so the challenge that we have together is really thinking about how do we design the system to meet the needs of that personality of the city, and what residents or commuters and how do they think about it. So it is complex. I don't want to leave the notion that this is easily solved. It isn't. Congestion and safety and Vision Zero initiatives, which is around safety, are really complex things, and having that open dialogue is meaningful. So does New York City appreciate how to move people around? Absolutely. Do I have to appreciate when I'm working with a city like New York City that the main backbone of their transportation services is transit, and we have to think about how does car sharing, for example, in that place really complement the transit, right? We're not competing against it, and so think about people running out of Manhattan for the weekend. That's a much different view of somebody in downtown Austin who's grabbing the car to run an errand. So that's where the real fruitful part of our dialogue comes from.
So I'll say. Now, one last question. We've all heard a lot about the gig economy in the last recent years, but for those who may be looking to make their own schedules, driving full or part-time, does Maven offer a service in that space?
Yeah, that's our Maven Gig service. So what you can do is you basically rent the vehicle from us on a short-term basis. It's a weekly rental price, and it includes the vehicle, the maintenance, and the insurance associated with the vehicle. And in the case of if you rent one of our EVs, we'll give you access to the largest charging network in that region. And so you rent the vehicle from us. You use it as you would in the gig economy. The nice thing about our vehicles is we let you use it for anything you're doing. So you can drive for Uber tonight and then go pick up the kids from school in the morning and sort of integrate it into your life. So it's a nice tool for those who are really getting back on their feet or looking for an asset to go sort of earn a living.
Alex Keros, Smart Cities Chief for General Motors Maven. One final question, a website where my Car Clinic listeners and viewers can get more information.
Pretty easy, maven.com, maven.com.
Terrific. Always a pleasure to hear about what's going on with GM and with the Maven program that we've supported over the years. Alex, always great to have someone in the know, and especially in the know like you, as with the representatives of cities across the nation, so that for those particular cities and radio stations that we air in across the nation, maybe they want to participate in the Maven category as well. So thank you so much for joining me on Bobby Likis Car Clinic today.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Bobby.